Welcome back to the channel. In today's video we have a very special video because I just picked up this incredible collection that we're going to go through together. First we're going to go through the cards and I will go through a little of how I value some of the cards when looking to purchase, and then how I will figure what I would pay based on what I figure the value of any specific card is. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and check out this incredible collection. All right, here it is. So let's go ahead and check out what is inside. So as we open it up, you'll see some big cards already. We'll start off with what is on top. So this is the T200 Cleveland Americans team card, and this has the very special Joe Jackson pictured. Super tough to get any Joe Jackson cards, so this one is awesome to have. Very popular set where they have different team images of a bunch of the different teams. So there's a cool one to start it off, and a bunch of other awesome cards here. We'll go through one at a time. I'm sure a couple are already catching people's eyes. And they came all sorted in this pretty nice binder, which makes it easier for me. We'll start off with this Kelly right here, N28 Mike Kelly. So this one does have a pinhole there, bringing down the grade. When you hold it at any sort of reasonable distance, you don't really notice it. You may have to look at it for a while, but when you flip it over, it does have that. But it presents pretty well for one from the classic N28 Allen and Ginter set. King Kelly, one of the biggest cards in the set, along with the Anson. And speaking of Cap Anson, here we have a very, very special Cap Anson card. And that is the N300 Mayo cut plug Cap Anson. The bottom of this one was cut off, so it was trimmed a little bit. The cards in this collection were not all the highest grade, but they are incredible cards. You'll see a lot of cool stuff like this. I'm sure there's already a couple others catching your eyes. One of my favorite sets of all time. And some of those 1800s cards just look incredible. Very scarce card to find this Cap Anson in any condition. So even like this, though it's been pretty severely trimmed, it's still a fantastic, fantastic card. Next up, a Billy Sunday from the old Judge set. I'm gonna move this out of the way so we don't get too much of a sneak preview, and we'll just go through one at a time. But this Billy Sunday, one of the stars from the set in the old Judge, got some pinholes on it, but still a very popular set. Cool card of a relevant name. And then we get into some of the heavy hitters. This mantle may look familiar if you guys watch some of my other videos, but this 51 Bowman Mickey Mantle, this is actually the exact card that I bought in my recent Nashville video. So I purchased this card in Nashville, did a trade to the gentleman who ended up selling me this collection, and then he found some other card he was super interested in and was moving all of these to help finance that next purchase. What a gorgeous Mantle rookie. Got the centering issues obviously, but the color is fantastic. Crisp corners, crisp image on a beautiful Mickey Mantle rookie card. Next up is a bit of a sneaky one, the 14 Cracker Jack Smokey Joe Wood. Out of all the cards in here, you wouldn't exactly expect a Joe Wood to be one of the most expensive, but the 14 Cracker Jacks are super tough. Tough to get them at all in any condition, and even once you do find them, they are very condition sensitive due to the caramel staining. And this is a great example. PSA 3 is a very fine grade for this set. So that is another fantastic card. And we'll move on here to one of my personal favorites from this entire collection. The W514 strip card Joe Jackson. Has so few cards, Joe Jackson does. So this is one of the more attainable Joe Jacksons, and they're a hand-cut strip card. So people sort of cut them down to whatever size they would like. But a beautiful card, nice orange color to it. A super tough one just to get any Joe Jackson. That's what makes that team card so significant. And this one here is just beautiful. The only copy I've ever owned. I'm beyond excited to have that one included in this lot. Next up is this Pete Rose rookie card PSA 4, a little bit more standard than a couple of the other cards we've looked at so far, but a Pete Rose rookie card has a little bit more of a defined value than some of these, pre-war and 1800s. It's a little bit easier to calculate, what you would get on the market for something like that. But a beautiful 4, relatively newly graded. Another Joe Jackson up next. This is the B18 Blankets Joe Jackson. See, it's got some issues up there in the corner, but this is an awesome card. I guess not really a card, more of like a felt blanket. Like I already mentioned, tough to get any Joe Jackson stuff, so that is a nice addition in the binder. The first card that I'll show you guys how I evaluate as far as when I'm going to purchase will be this Joe Jackson B18 blanket. And what I did for this one, I basically did this all the way down with all the cards, sent him the spreadsheet as far as what I figured the value would be and what I would offer based on that. So a card like the Jackson, I figured at about a $1,500 estimate. So if we go here and look at the B18 Jackson, search that up in Card Ladder, there is sales, a bunch of sales that you can find. Here's one that did about $1,600. It's not really missing the corner there. This one is about $1,300. This is the yellow pennants, but it's also trimmed up quite a bit more. Did about $1,750 on a fixed price for this one. Not slabbed, not missing the corner or anything like that. An $1,800 sale, not missing the corner. So I figured it's a little bit less than those, and somewhere around that $1,500 range. If it were a little nicer, maybe around the $1,800 range. But I figured it was about $1,500, and it's a Joe Jackson, so it is very sellable, but it's not quite as sellable like some of the other cards we'll get into in this video. So for one like that, I entered the $1,500 value, and on something like that, I would pay about $1,200 is what we ended up figuring for that one. Following that is this awesome E91 Hannes Wagner. Awesome card. Similar to Joe Jackson, tough to get any Wagner cards. He has a little bit more of a variety to choose from, but still not cheap when you're looking to add any Wagner to the collection. So this is a pretty cool card from the nice American Caramel set. In a decent grade too, presents pretty well for an SGC2. I'll probably send this one off to get reholdered. Just looks a little bit better in the newer SGC tucks than in the older label. So I'll probably go ahead and get that one reholdered. Another card that I'll probably send off to get reholdered is this Eddie Plank, this E95 Philadelphia Caramel card. Plank, one of my favorite players, just to sort of look at all of his cards. Similar to the other two, tough, just doesn't have many. That's a common theme with lots of the pre-war guys. And this is a beautiful set. Nice looking lower grade Plank, and I have a feeling this one will look really sweet with a nice reholder as well. And we have a 49 Bowman Jackie Robinson rookie. Definitely a filler, a lower grade. Any of these that you see that you may potentially be interested in when watching this video, they will all be both on our eBay store as well as our website. So I'll leave a link to the eBay store and the website in the description of the video, like I always do. If they are still available, outside of the ones that will likely be sent to being reholdered, they will be posted on both the eBay store and the website. So go ahead and check those out. If you're interested in adding any of these cards to your personal collection, as long as I do still have them available, they will be out there. And this one here is a special one. The Satchel Paige 49 Bowman. Like, look at the color on this card. This is incredible. One of my favorite cards of all time, this 49 Paige, and presents extremely well for the PSA 1 grade. Just a beautiful card, such an important card from what's always been one of my favorite sets, the 49 Bowman. A tougher high number, considered to be somewhat of a rookie card, and this just presents extremely well. It's a card that I always look to pick up whenever I get a chance, so it's great to be able to have one included in this collection. Following the page is this Joe Namath rookie, PSA 1.5, one of the most iconic football rookies of all time. in a lower grade, but still one of the most iconic ever. This one, similar to the Pete Rose, is easier to figure a value on than some of the other pre-war and tougher to evaluate cards. The second card I will show for you guys is the 1965 Topps Joe Namath. So the Joe Namath rookie card. So this one I just pulled up on VCP. Scroll over at 1.5. This one's a little bit of a tricky one. As you can see, ones around the 1200 range. Has 1.5s at like 1800, and then we have 2s at like 1700, 3s at like 2200. So we might have to dig into the sales a little bit more on this one. It's not a particularly great 1.5. Like this one here, you can see is quite a bit sharper. Some of these, here's a sale down at 1300, and not many 1.5 sales. As you can see, there's only 4 of them in the last year. So ones like this, I'll go either to all sales, or sometimes I'll look at also like 2s of what, you know, maybe a half grade above would do. I had 2.5 here for 1800, so I figure it's probably less than that. Another sale, like a 3 in the 1900 range. So although VCP average was like 1800, I couldn't quite get myself to value it that high when I'm going to make the purchase. SGC2 for 1500 is probably a bit more comparable to the card that we're looking at. Another SGC2 in the 1450 range, PSA2 in the 1700 range. So that's sort of how I figure a card like this. There's at least enough sales on this one where it's sort of easy to pick out a rough range as far as what it would be. So that's why on a card like this, I would go ahead. I figured it at 1500, but it's a much easier 1500 than the Joe Jackson that I showed earlier in the video. So I bumped my offer a little bit because when looking at a collection like this, I want to throw out an offer that's very reasonable and makes sense for them to say yes. You don't want to start off with an incredible low offer and, you know, maybe scare someone away and have them not want to sell you the cards. So I would pay a little bit stronger on this one. 1300 on 1500 feels like a pretty reasonable offer for both parties. It's not one that I'll have to sit on too long, so I figured it's not going to be a crazy profit. So you just have to take that into account a little bit when you're figuring what you're going to pay. You can't pay the same, you know, percentage for a very liquid card like the Joe Namath as you would for, let's say, a common player or something to that effect. So we will set Namath off to the side here and keep on going. There's still a handful of cards left, and we've already seen some incredible cards, but we got a few left to go through here, probably 10 or so. Back to a few more of the pre-war cards. So we have 3 of the 4 Ty Cobb T206s. He had a green portrait as well, but we weren't able to close the deal on that one, but ended up with 3 of the 4 Cobbs. You can see especially the red portrait presents incredibly. Like, look at the bold, crisp colors on that card. One of the most iconic sets of all time. Ty Cobb, my dad's favorite player to collect. Incredible adds to the collection. To combo with the Ty Cobbs, we also have a pair of Cy Youngs. No portrait included in this, but 2 fantastic Cy Young cards. One of the most notable players from the T206 set. Obviously, everyone knows Cy Young with the Cy Young Award. So that sort of makes him extremely historically significant. So someone that will definitely be collected for the long term. We got 4 cards remaining in here. So we have the Christy Mathewson, and then one more T206 as well, the polar bareback Walter Johnson. So a couple more nice T206 Hall of Famers. Beautiful poses on both of these cards. And 2 remaining. Now here is one that is not the most notable player, the Ray Caldwell Crackerjack. What makes this card so special is the PSA 7 grade it received. Insanely sharp, nearly impossible to get these in condition like this, especially anymore. You just don't see them too often when it comes to the higher grades. Obviously the 15 is a little bit easier to get in a high grade, actually significantly easier to get in a high grade than the 14s, but still it's just a work of art when you see a card like this in this condition. So even a common like this trades, you know, in the 4-figure range. And last but not least, a Wilt Chamberlain rookie card. So a little bit of a mix of everything. We got the Namath, got the Chamberlain, got pre-war, post-war. Just an incredible, diverse collection, wide mix of cards. And I would say a majority of these, even though being somewhat lower grade, still present pretty well. Like you can see the colors on this Chamberlain are still very fresh and a beautiful looking card. One of my favorite sets of all time, the 61 Fleer basketball. And this is the best card from that set. So the last card I'll break down a little bit for you guys. I don't really want to get into what I paid for each card, but I figured 3 would be a healthy sample to look at. The Wilt Chamberlain rookie card. So I'll go over to VCP. I use a mix of VCP and Card Ladder to sort of evaluate these. So I'll go ahead, type in 1961 Fleer Chamberlain, get that to pop up. And now we have a SGC 2.5 is what we're looking at. So I'm going to scroll over to the left towards around where the 2.5 would be. And I like to also look at PSAs because it helps give somewhat of a little extra data points. So VCP on this one, you have SGC2s at 1500, SGC3s at 2300, 2.5s at 1800. So if we look at the 2.5s, there's probably not a ton of sales, being that's a half grade, just a few in the last year or so. Yeah, 1900, 1800. And 1500, which seems to be a little low. And if we just look at all sales, there's a SGC2 for about 1400, so 1500 for a half grade bump seems maybe a little light. And then you have some nicer looking cards like this very well presenting PSA 2 at 2500, PSA 4s in the 2500 range. So for that one, I put down about an $1,800 value estimate, plus or minus a little bit. You never know for certain exactly what you're gonna get out of a card, but I figured that would be a nice rough range. And then same story on the Wilt Chamberlain as on the Namath I talked about a little bit ago. That's a very popular card, very desirable card, a very easy to sell card, so you don't need a crazy margin on something like this. I would figure it at 1800. You might be able to get 1850, 1900 net after you sell it. So I would offer pretty strong based on that. About 1600 is what I put in. And like I said, I went through, did this for every card on the entire spreadsheet, sent it over to them, and we pulled out a couple that couldn't quite agree on a number for. And then most of them we left in there, and I said just pick whatever ones you like, however much cash you want to raise. Here's my offers for them. If you want to negotiate on any individual card or for the whole lot, we can go from there. But here's at least my thinking as far as card by card, what I value them at, what I think I would roughly be able to get, and then how strong I'll pay. It's a little bit easier than throwing like a straight percentage value across the whole lot. I figure it that way. It makes it easier to pick and choose whether you want to sell this card and not this one. Instead of just throwing out one number for the entire lot, you guys can both sort of together look through and see where the differences may lie, and it makes it easier. If you're off by a large percentage, it may be just 1 or 2 cards pulling down the whole lot. So if you break it down for people, it's just easier for everyone to sort of be on the same page. It makes it easier to come to a deal. So that is how I figured cards for these. And so that is everything from this collection. I'm going to just sort of quickly go through them again. But let me know in the comments section below what cards caught your eye the most. What was your favorite out of all of these? I am always looking for stuff like this, collections like this. So contact me any way that you can. I'm not hard to find. Social medias will be linked in the description, as well as the eBay store, email, and all of that. Not too hard to get a hold of. If you're interested in selling your collection to help finance either collection purchase or just any life purchases, we are always buying, looking for beautiful vintage cards like this, and would definitely love to help anyone out, get you guys some cash into your pockets so you can go use it for whatever you like. We'll get a closer look at these two of my favorites from this deal here, the Joe Jackson and the Wagner. Beautiful, beautiful cards. But yeah, let me know what your favorites were. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this style of video, and we will see you guys in the next one.